Welcome to a special edition of our We on the Air, the podcast all about the world of direct marketing on television. It's a special edition because today, as we record this on March 23rd, is one day after iMedia, the parent company of ShopHQ, released their yearly report. So this is a big day as we have been waiting. I'm sorry, I'm being distracted. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do my show here. What do you mean stop? No, what do you mean no? Huh? What's this? What is this? What are you handing me? What? I'm trying to do my show. It's what? Okay, read this. Okay. All right. Okay. This is interesting. So apparently, Okay. Well, apparently, iMedia, again, parent company of ShopHQ, has moved its fourth quarter and full year conference call and results release to Tuesday, March 28th. So 5 days from now. Why would they announce that they're moving their... Well, let me see what this says. Let me read this. Let's see. Let's see what it says. The reason for this change is for the company to keep its management resources focused on the completion of the sale-leaseback transaction, which is currently... Why do they need their entire management team to be focused on the sale of their buildings? Maybe I should back up for those that are wondering what I'm talking about. They announced 3 months ago that they were going to be selling and then leasing back. We talked about this with QVC because they're doing a similar thing so they can get the cash in hand. They're selling, iMedia is selling 3 of their 4 buildings, and then they're going to rent them back because that way they get the cash for the sale of the transaction to pay off some debt that they have. But they announced that 12 weeks ago. Why do they need more time? And why would all their management resources have to be tied up for another week? You know, this is when you announce that, hey, on this date, we're releasing our yearly numbers. That's an anticipated thing by the stock market and the investment community. They've never, ever done that in their history. Ever moved their release date. And so last minute, too. I mean, they just announced this on the 20th that they were moving it. There's something weird here. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But there is something very strange when you are a major company like they are, and 2 days before you're supposed to announce your yearly results, you say, wait a minute. Ain't happening. Can't do it. We're not ready. We need our management resources to be focused on selling some buildings. You don't need your entire management team. You have people, more than likely just the lawyers that are dealing with this. They're the ones that have taken over at this point, this late in the transaction, to get the deal signed. So listen, and again, I have no inside knowledge on this. Yes, I have friends at ShopHQ, and we intentionally never discuss business. I have not discussed business with anyone inside that building in years. So it's not like I'm sitting on some inside knowledge, because I am not. I'm just saying there's something weird here, that they would be postponing for a week this big announcement. So I don't know what it is. I look at their website, thought, well, maybe there's some hint, some idea on their website that would tell me what's going on. And, well, no, not really. I went to their investor relations, nothing other than that press release. Something I thought was just kind of interesting because I haven't seen this before. When I went to their careers tab, just to see what kind of positions they're hiring for, it's empty. There is nothing there. They're not hiring for anything. So, as a first, I've never seen the careers tab completely empty like that. So they ain't looking for anyone. You know what's distracted me this morning? I found a link in the bottom of their page to their German network. Let me get my audio back up. Of course, now he's not saying anything. They're selling a...
Der Schnäppchenzug rollt ein.
Yeah, that thing. It's not an Invicta watch.
Die Perlmutt-Linien. Perlmutt, jetzt nicht falsch verstehen, da kommen
It's
keine gehäckselten Muscheln raus.
Lotion
es ist
or
nur
something.
Die Variante mit diesem Schimmer. Und ganz ehrlich,
Listen to that
die
music.
sehen einfach an jedem Spülbecken, an jedem Waschtisch, an jedem Waschbecken sehr, sehr edel aus.
I'd be looking behind you, guy. I think that's the music before someone comes out with a knife.
Ist wirklich traumhaft. Wir reden hier nicht über zu süß und überladen, aber wir reden von diesen feinen Mandelnoten. Zusammen mit so einer Vanille.
Oh my, what ominous music they play in the background.
und dann die Pflegeinhaltsstoffe. Das Ganze.
I think it's a price drop format. I just discovered that I could watch this morning, and price drop is similar to what they do on ShopLC, where the prices drop. It's something that we innovated. Actually, I innovated with Bid Bash back at Shop NBC. Actually, it was back at Value Vision back in the year 2000. That was the first price dropping show in this country. But anyway, so we're waiting on the ShopHQ report. And so this gives me a chance to do two things I've been wanting to do. One is discuss Invicta, and I'm going to get to that a little bit later on. And this has been prompted, frankly, by a number of people that have reached out to me to take on this topic, and I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but what is going on at ShopHQ? Because like I said, I don't know. I have no inside knowledge. I have very good friends. Well, actually, how many are left there? A couple, and that's about it. I know one of the hosts very well, one kind of, and yeah, I guess that's it. I know one person in production, two people in production. Man, is that it? I think that might be it. Anyway, neither here nor there. Because it is interesting times there, and they're the other, for those that don't know, if you don't get them on cable, they are the ShopHQ, used to be known as Evine, used to be known as Evine Live. Before that, they were ShopHQ. Before that, they were Shop NBC. Before that, they were Value Vision. In the interim, fun fact, how many people knew they were going to become Spree TV? Not Spree TV. Snap TV. Before they became Shop NBC, the idea was they were going to become Snap TV because there was a website, a search engine, I think it was, snap.com. And if I remember correctly, NBC owned it, and so they were going to rebrand from Value Vision to Snap TV, but then they just wound up becoming Shop NBC. So, fun fact. Or not so much fun. I want to play some audio since I got nothing else to do with regards to ShopHQ. I want to play two pieces of audio here. That just I don't want to necessarily, pick on them necessarily, and certainly not the hosts in this first segment, because here's something I've never said before publicly about my career. I never liked taking on-air phone calls. Never did. Never did. With the rare exception, and by rare I mean maybe 1 out of 100 that were actually helpful. A good testimonial can help a sale. But the problem with the smaller networks, and basically the problem with anything outside of QVC and HSN, is getting the callers on the air. I used to always joke about, in the control room when it was Shop NBC, and I'm sure it's the same at ShopHQ. I've seen pictures, so I think it is. You had the producer in the back. In front of him was the graphics operator, the director, and the audio person. And then there was a separate room where the call screener sat. This person would sit for hours and not do anything, because the people manning the phones couldn't get people that wanted to go on the air. And then it was this person's responsibility to screen the calls to make sure that a good caller got on air. The only time you had people lined up to get on the air was when a guest like Chuck Clemency or Michael Valitutti was on. Then people couldn't wait because they wanted to talk to the guest. Couldn't care less about the host. Never did. It was always the guest. Manuela would get good calls, and that was about it. Oh, and if Ale Lalo from Invicta was actually on air, he would get people lined up. We couldn't take enough calls. But most of the time, they were worthless. And to this day, I'm going to play for you an example of why I hated on-air phone calls. Because anytime a caller goes on air, what happens is this, and this is fact. The sales drop. And it's all about sales. So if you've got a caller on the air, the audience stops ordering because they want to hear what this person has to say. Because here now is a different voice. And a good testimonial will then cause a spike. I've seen it a million times. After a good testimonial, which again are rare, the calls go up dramatically because you just had a great call that got everybody that was listening to call an order. The problem is getting that good call. And well, God bless Walter. I'm going to play some audio here. The hosts are Kenny Klepfer and Ryan Johnson, two people, again, I adore more than anyone else in this industry. So this is nothing against them. They're doing their best with a caller that never should have gotten on the air. Ever. And you don't need to be an expert to figure out why. Let's listen to Walter.
Or that abalone dial beneath, that is so...
No surprise, by the way, it's an Invicta Watch show that we're doing. Well, I said Ryan, so you should know that.
Crazy rich. We're going to go off to the phone lines, actually out to Michigan, and say hello to Walter. Hi, Walter. How are you today?
All right. I'm just, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Yeah, I got the Akula finally in, the 51 millimeter.
Nice.
And I don't know if that's Swiss or not because it's a
By the way, at this point, the director should have put up a picture of what this person was talking about. The director did not. So a lot has changed in how things should be done. Because I want to see what this guy's ordered. Hey, he ordered something. What was it? Director never showed it.
day night, the automatic.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if it was Swiss movement or not.
That movement's not Swiss on that particular version.
That's
but
not
it's an
something you want to
amazing
tell
move.
people.
We use it in many of our watches. I actually have a few myself.
Good recovery.
Yeah, and then I got picked up on the Simpsons.
Oh,
yes.
The
fun.
whole family.
Wonderful.
Yeah, last night I ordered that, or night before last. And I'm
Terrific.
looking tonight. I'm looking for that. It's like a gay watch. It's light blue. I'm not sure of the millimeters on it, but I was
Yes,
wondering.
I know, Travis.
gonna
That's
be
why
on
we
here.
get such
It's,
bargains.
It's got the calendar date at the bottom, and it's got the.
He's describing 8,000 Invictas. It's got the calendar date at the bottom, it's got the date at the top. It's just, God bless you, Walter. I'm sure you're a nice guy, but you never should have been on the air. You're not going to help people decide to buy a watch. The question should have been asked, what do you love about Invicta? How long have you been shopping for Invicta? It's just, and again, this is where you have to lead the callers. You can't just let them wander off in their own, because then they're going to get down this particular path.
a month. Or
He's
the-
still on the air for about another 30 seconds.
of the
So.
week up top.
Uh-huh.
It's just I don't know if it's a slim or not, or if they're going to ever show it or not.
Oh, yeah, it's probably the slim
I
in
really
the
like
blue
that.
label. We had a couple different sizes. I think a
Ryan's doing his best.
41 and 47, Walter.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
and
we,
do not have that on the air tonight, but it's on our website, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
or
we don't
you
have
can
that.
call
It's not a Swiss
also,
movement. We don't have that.
If you call in and just ask your customer service representative, I think it's under the slim line for
I think
us.
you're right. Yeah. Walter, thank you so much for your call. We so appreciate it.
that
And
means
our phone
Walter's
lines are
gone.
open.
That-
I've not talked to you guys in forever.
That means we hung up on Walter while the host was talking, which, by the way, was the right move. Many times producers, because the producers are ultimately the one who pushes the button that puts the caller on the air, they don't hang up, and that's something you should do. The second the host has an opening like that, hang up. Caller's gone. Let the host move on. And so that was 2 minutes of time when they should have been selling watches, and unfortunately they didn't. So that still plagues ShopHQ. Other networks do, well, you'll notice again, as I've said before, much fewer callers on the air, which sometimes is good, sometimes not. But the ones that do get on air are screened and are worth getting on air. It's not just, well, let's put a caller on the air because the host is desperate for someone to put on air. What else is going on at ShopHQ? They have something new. It is called Today's Top Auction. And this is something else. I have to thank a listener for pointing out. A lot of this stuff I have listeners pointing out to me, and I appreciate it. You can find me on Twitter, Sean Wilsey. Did not know they were doing this. So every day at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, they do a live internet stream of an item. Now, remember, you heard me a few minutes ago talk about reverse auctions. Well, this is an item that will start at a certain price and then go up. So the first 4 people maybe that buy it will get it for, I'm using the example on screen right now, $92. Then the next 11 people will get it at $94. And it shows you that on screen. Like right now, they have some Michael Kors sunglasses. It says, place your bid now, 4 left, $92. And then the next price will be $94. And there's only 11 available at that price. And it'll keep going up. On paper, this is a really smart idea. I want the $92 price. There's only 4 chances. If I miss out on that, then the price goes to $94. I will never know it was $92 because I'm seeing it later in the day. I didn't see it earlier. It is a smart idea, but the problem is the confusion that starts because the new auction goes live every day at midnight. So the price starts going up at midnight. But wait a minute. You told me the live show's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Uh-huh. Yeah, what could go wrong with that? Well, a lot. First off, when you go to watch the live stream, it sends you to another website. They're not even doing this embedded in their own website. It takes you to another website, some stream that they're loading up from somewhere. I'm not even sure. It just says jwplayer.com, cdn.jw. So it's a stream that is coming up from somewhere else. So that's part of the problem. Let's listen in. What can go wrong? Bear with me a second. What can go wrong is I hit the wrong button here. So the live show is about to start. Again, remember, the auction technically started at midnight, but the live show starts 18 hours later.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sasha Andreev, and I am so excited to be joining you with our today's top auction live.
Okay, the stream just cut away. So already it's gone. The graphic just came up, today's top auction. So the technology, it's not there. It's not ready to work. By the way, as he introduces this item that has been on
ShopHQ.
Oh, wait, he's back.
Now, I've been with ShopHQ for well over a decade as a product expert and host, and I'm really pleased to present this brand new concept. So let me break down exactly how this all works.
But keep it simple.
Every single night at midnight Eastern, we launch our today's top auction item.
Fair enough.
At an amazing value.
Yes.
And you have access to purchase that right off.
Oh, wait, no, feed's gone. What was he saying? Feed's gone again. Well, he's starting to say how, you can purchase it and then the price will, slowly go up. But now as the live show starts, we're about to take the price back to what it was at midnight. So for those of you that bought this item an hour ago, when the price had slowly inched up since midnight, well, guess what? You're SOL because I'm about to bring it back at the lower price. I'm telling you, this is so confusing. The late game show creator Mark Goodson, who created Price is Right, Family Feud, Match Game, Password, all these shows that are still on the air to this day, always said the best concepts in television are explained in one sentence. And he's right. All of his shows can be explained in one sentence. This concept has taken, 5 minutes to explain, so not good. By the way, I'm keeping the video playing. The video's still playing in the background. There's nothing happening. Their little graphic has come up saying today's top auction. There's no picture, there's no audio. I have to scan way ahead, and here comes the picture back of the gold necklace.
Makes
there he
these
is.
just for our viewers. You can see how it is handcrafted, and this is a diamond cut necklace where every single link gives you that square design.
How much money?
With that beautiful yellow gold, that classic
how much
metallic sheen.
What's it cost?
That will never go out of style.
Tell me how much.
And I don't know if you're a fan of White Lotus like I am.
How
which,
much?
Of course,
I'm not. How much money?
Place off the coast of Italy, and maybe we're just
I don't have all day.
Whisked away.
How
and
much?
Enjoy the style, the elegance, the brilliance of
how
Italy.
much?
This is a way to bring a taste.
Oh,
so
the video's gone.
The
again.
live on top. What's the center? What's the bottom?
See, you heard him talking to someone off camera there. So because the live stream cut away again. I've had enough of this. I can't take any more. So that's what's going on at ShopHQ in a nutshell. I want to. You can't talk about ShopHQ without talking about Invicta, and this is where I'm not even quite sure how to introduce this next segment. This is something that, frankly, has been brewing for a while. I have an unaired show. Of Are We on the Air that I recorded some months ago that is sitting, I think it's episode 54 or 53, never been uploaded because other things keep happening more timely, and so I've been uploading those. But this is kind of pushing me to take on the topics. Rather than just upload the show again because there's new content, or upload the show for the first time, I'm going to bring on the topic. Andre, one of the loyal listeners of the show, sent me something on Twitter the other day, and he just says, this is what I'm talking about, Sean. I think ShopHQ's selling tactics appear desperate and suggestive, and he attached a picture of a model from an Invicta show who is, and you can see this on my Twitter, I retweeted it, who is wearing an Invicta watch, but her top is a cut-off top and cut just below the breast area, I guess we can safely say that, shows her midsection. And then she's wearing frilly leather, I guess, shorts that are cut up the side, and there's some chain connecting it all together. So this is their model for this particular show that is going on right now. And I'm going to get back to this in a second because this goes to this new branding, I guess, or they're rebranding. I don't know what they're doing. But the reason I wanted to hit this topic actually goes back a few months ago, actually a couple years ago now. One Sunday evening, my phone exploded. And my phone doesn't usually do much on a Sunday evening. I got a text from someone saying, ShopHQ just had a topless model on. And I didn't even really think about it. I was busy doing something else, and so I just thought, okay, maybe there was a Janet Jackson-like slip of something. I don't know. And literally not 2 minutes later, I got another text from someone else with a picture of what had just transpired on ShopHQ, and it was during an Invicta show, and it was two models standing next to each other who were indeed topless, except for carefully placed pieces of black tape, just enough to cover, I guess if you have kids in the car, I'm going to give you a chance to hit the 15-second skip button right now. Enough tape to cover their nipples. And other than that, they were indeed topless. They might have had something sheer covering it, but it's no, they had nothing else on. 5 minutes after that, I get another text, this time a screen grab from someone else who had shown me a post that was done to one of the hosts at ShopHQ's Facebook page from a viewer, a woman, who was commenting about how offended she just was. She was watching the show with her family and saw what I just explained and describing how inappropriate that was. She had kids watching, blah, blah, blah. And at this point, I thought, okay, I do have to look into this. And I went to YouTube and found their live stream, because if you don't know, on YouTube, on the live streams, you can actually back up the time on the stream up to like 8-12 hours. And so I went in, backed it up, found the segment, and sure enough, two of the models that they had modeling an Invicta watch were as described. And it was like 8 o'clock on a Sunday evening, and I do remember thinking, again, this goes back to my advertising and marketing background. If you have a brand and you have a brand image, you have to be very careful about any person that is representing your brand image and how they look. I go back to when we were Shop NBC, summer of 2000, and my gosh, it was ingrained in us. The logo. Don't do anything to damage the logo. Don't do anything to hurt NBC's image. At the time, NBC was the number one network. There was no streaming. You couldn't beat NBC. Their comedies, their dramas, everything. They were the top network, and they wanted that image to be kept intact, even though they had Fear Factor where people were eating bugs, but that's another story. And so we couldn't do anything on our airwaves that could potentially damage their image. Invicta and ShopHQ are interchangeable these days. The yellow that they use in their logo for ShopHQ is the same yellow that they use for Invicta. So when you have these women in these moments as your brand image, and you are now offending people because someone commented to a host, I've had people reach out to me about this, that's doing damage to your image. Now, I can hear the arguments. Let's play devil's advocate. Invicta is a men's brand. I gotcha. You know what it used to be perceived as just a men's product? Beer. Remember beer advertising in the 80s and early 90s? Let me refresh your memory with the Swedish bikini team.
Guys, doesn't get any better than this.
5 guys sitting out in the woods. Some good male bonding going on over an old Milwaukee beer. Which is crap, by the way.
Bob Pullum was wrong, because when a crate of lobsters fell from the sky,
Crate of lobsters falling from the sky.
Better. And when the Swedish bikini team dropped by, it got a little better. And then an old Milwaukee truck
Swedish bikini team are 5 girls that fell from the sky, all blonde, all in bikinis, that do nothing but dance for the rest of this commercial, very gratuitously.
It most certainly got better. Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It just doesn't get any better than this.
There's only men buy beer, and women in bikinis dancing around men. That sells beer. That's the way it's supposed to be. Girls in bikinis, just like selling watches. Put them topless and put duct tape on their tops. That's what sells watches. Well, here's what happened with that. Stroh's Brewery, who was responsible for Old Milwaukee at the time, wound up in a bit of trouble. Not just because people found the commercials so offensive, and this really was the end of the era of using girls gratuitously to sell beer, but because of employees within the company who felt it was now a hostile work environment and filed a lawsuit against Stroh's Brewery for it being a hostile work environment. 5 women, 1992, St. Paul, Minnesota, filed a lawsuit citing sexual harassment because Stroh's has produced sexist, degrading promotional posters and advertisements. And the 5 women, one of whom has been laid off, say they were subject to verbal and physical confrontation by male coworkers and supervisors that caused them severe mental and physical stress. The conduct of Stroh's is so extreme and outrageous that it passes the bounds of decency and utterly is intolerable in the civilized community. Because, again, that sort of commercial, they feel propagated and encouraged a hostile work environment towards women. So that put a quick end to that. It helped push along the decline of Stroh's. They wound up being sold in the late 1990s. But anyway, so images like that went away in advertising, and I challenge you to find another watch brand that advertises in such a manner. And again, the case is made. Well, it's a male customer. This is on a network that, until evening, is dominated by female viewers. So what did they just do with that one action? Well, they almost used a word I shouldn't. They upset a part of their female demographic that, again, not necessarily just against Invicta, but against ShopHQ, because they are synonymous these days. You can't think of one without thinking of the other. So fast forward, they learned their lesson, right? Well, a few months ago, they're doing a live remote from Mexico. 2 women modeling in bikinis on the beach, one of whom had her leg intertwined in front of the other model, who was standing there again in her bikini, modeling a watch. No one was looking at the watches, I guarantee it. Well, again, the argument could be made. Well, it wasn't intended to be sexual. All right. You know what? Let's go with that. Let's go with that argument. It wasn't intended to be sexual. Next time you do the show from the beach, get 2 men, put them in Speedos. And I want one of those guys to have his leg wrapped around the front leg of the other one. Tell me that's going to go over well. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't even think about doing that. Come on. Not sexual. Of course it is. So that is why I've had people reach out to me saying, you know, what is going on with Invicta and ShopHQ? Well, they're interchangeable these days. So, and I don't blame the hosts. These models should have stood up and said, no, I'm not doing this. But, you know, the hosts have no control. They're on-air faces. You know, they have no control about how the product is presented. They're not in the marketing department. This is marketing 101. What is your brand image? How do you want to be portrayed? Which takes us to current days and what is going on with Invicta, because now they are fast and furious. That was where the model that I had in the Twitter picture was from. So what does that mean? Well, I had to ask my friend Lucas, and thank you, Lucas, for your help last night. I reached out to him when I was prepping this show, and I said, I don't understand racing. Help me with this. What is going on with this? And he explained that the Invicta is now a sponsor of a racing team in the F2 series. Now, I'd heard of F1. Living near Austin, we have an F1 racetrack here, so I was well familiar with F1, and it is very global, and it is very popular globally. Not as much in the United States, but very popular globally. And F2, he was explaining to me, is kind of like the level down. It's like, if you think of racing in this country, you think of NASCAR, right? NASCAR Cup, that's number 1. That is the top level. There's NASCAR Truck, that is number 3. And there's a middle NASCAR level whose name is escaping me right now, the Xfinity. So, NASCAR Cup 1, Xfinity 2, Truck 3. So, this F2 that Invicta's sponsoring is kind of like sponsoring an Xfinity racer. Nothing wrong with that. It's just there are no X2 races in the United States. So, I understand they want to be involved in racing and they want to support a racer, but you're doing this in a way that no one in this country cares about. Now, I'm going somewhere with this, trust me, because I think, and I could be wrong, this is where Invicta might be pivoting their marketing a little bit. Because if indeed they are going after this F2 racing team, let me give you an idea where the races take place for F2. You have one coming up in Sakir. I don't even know where that is. You have one in Jeddah. Don't know where that is. Melbourne, that's Australia. One in Baku, no idea. Imola, no idea. Monte Carlo, I've heard of that. Barcelona, that's Spain. In Spielberg, don't know. Silverstone, that's England. I know that. Budapest, Hungary, I know that. They're all in European and well, in Australia countries. So it makes me wonder if this isn't where Invicta's realizing their future is in foreign markets. Maybe they have peaked in the United States. I'm just speculating here because last night, we're recording this on a Thursday, last night, Wednesday evening, they were doing a live chat on YouTube during their show. There were 11 people in the live chat. 11 people in prime time in the chat. When I was doing, not just Invicta, but watches in general, back around 2005, 2006, from midnight to 2 a.m., at 1 in the morning, I would have more than 20 people in a chat that I created. I was the first to do chats on TV shopping. I sound like Howard Stern. I invented it, Robin. It's like, no, but I did. I invented that whole idea of doing a chat. In fact, our CEO at the time said, tell Wilsey to stop doing that because he's not talking to the viewer. He's talking to the people in the chat. So I had to stop it. I brought it back, of course, once she was gone. She only lasted 6 months. But anyway, they had 11 people in prime time. I had 20 at 1 in the morning back on a not even a company-endorsed chat. So makes you wonder if Invicta isn't saying, I think the future is in foreign markets maybe. How many people can, and I think a lot of people of the old-time collectors back when I was doing this realized I only have one wrist. I can only wear so many watches, and I got tired of replacing batteries all the time. I've mentioned many times, even though I still have about 80 watches in my collection, there's 12 that I wear most often, and they're all Swiss-made products that have held their value over time. A Concord, a Quorum, a Tog, these legendary Swiss brands, because they've held their value and in some cases have gone up. So I think the watch collector is changing how they look at timepieces. I remember once someone telling me, why buy, and I'm just making the number up, 10 $100 watches when you can buy one $1,000 watch? That struck home with me. That makes sense because that $1,000 watch is going to be a better long-term investment. The $100 watches are never going to maintain their value. They might be worth $10 today. So that is, I think, a smart way to look at it. So I don't know. I think times are changing in the world of collecting, watch collecting. I'm not just picking on Invicta. I think in watch collecting in general. And I think Europe and Asian markets might be the way to go. That could be where the future is for that business. Now, what does that mean for ShopHQ? Well, here's the other thing I think that they need to think about. Because they still own this Bulldog idea, Shop Bulldog. They tried it as a regular network. Didn't work. Too much money. So if you want to have the women with their duct tape on, why not at 8 p.m. at night become Shop Bulldog? You can still be ShopHQ from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. At 8 p.m., you become Shop Bulldog. You cater to the men's market. That way, the women know that if they're watching ShopHQ, it's stuff for them. I'm going to see Manuela. I'm going to see jewelry. I'm going to see skincare and the doctor, what's his skincare surgeon, plastic surgeon guy, his stuff. But then at 8 o'clock, we become Shop Bulldog. And now I'm catering to the men's market. I don't know. It's a thought. It's going to be tough to cater to the men's market in general just because the men of the two, and not to stereotype, but again, the men of that age group that buy Invicta, because their regular customer, the women are an older customer, they're more likely to still be watching TV. The men are not. The men are less likely to find an Invicta show through channel surfing or ShopHQ through channel surfing, where women are still a little bit more likely. So maybe that's the reason to not do it. I don't know. But hopefully this is to be continued because hopefully a week from now we will have the Invictus. I even instinctively just say Invicta. We're going to have the ShopHQ iMedia yearly reports. By the way, I have to again thank my friend Lucas for his help in helping to straighten out in my head this whole racing things. I told him I would give him a plug because he has a TikTok that is fantastic. All about shower beers, and he reviews and rates beers in the shower. Now, it's not as maybe revealing as an Invicta show. In fact, it is definitely not. You don't see anything inappropriate there, but he does his shower beer reviews on TikTok, so you can check him out there. And King of Shower Beers, I think, is what you search for. I'm sorry, Lucas, I kind of botched this, didn't I? I'm looking right now. I think that's the wrong one. Let me find it. See, I shouldn't second guess myself. It is King of Shower Beers. I just found it. King of Shower Beers on TikTok. And so you can check out all of his reviews of various beers. By the way, I'm on TikTok. I have never plugged my TikTok. Am I Sean Wilsie? I am. ShawnWilsie. And this is actually kind of getting ahead of myself here because, again, this is a topic we're going to get to later. How you market successfully on these different forms of social media. Listen to this. I have videos that I posted on TikTok that have 700 views, 700 views, 600 views, 200 views, 800 views. I have one that has 44,300 views. How the algorithm works with TikTok, we're going to get into with a special guest I'm going to have down the road here. Because the video that has 44,000 views is nothing but I typed the words, "The 80s live at Dillard's." I was sitting in Dillard's waiting for a friend of mine in the restroom. And I realized how 80s the decor looked in this customer service area at Dillard's. So I just took some video, typed the text, "The 80s live at Dillard's," and put the audio from, I think it's "We Built This City on Rock and Roll," and somehow that gets 44,000 views. My picture of me surprising my husband with a surprise visit from his mom from Puerto Rico gets 1,100 views. I don't know. I don't get it. But I don't, and that's why I'm going to have someone who does get it and makes his living off of TikTok and those things coming up in a future show. But we have to get iMedia results first, so that's what we need to do. Okay, listen, find me on social media on TikTok, Sean Wilsie, Twitter, Sean Wilsie, Instagram, SWilsie. Forget Facebook. I'm off Facebook. Don't do that anymore. But that's the way to find me. And, of course, spread the word about the show if you would, please. I do appreciate it. And, of course, all your good 4-star, 5-star, 6-star, 7-star reviews and all that. Appreciate those. This has been a King Bobby production.
Yes, I know, Travis. That's why we give such bargains.